Welcome back to Aravaipa Trail Talk, number 68, live from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm your host, Jamil Curry, here with Matt Feldake. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. Just got back from my week up in Colorado. Packed a lot in a week, so it was a lot, but it's good to be back. And yeah, I'm just gonna say we're watching now. We got the throwback to the 2014 Hardrock, which is the first time I made like a big race movie, which is kind of fun. So enjoy.
It looks good. You did a good job, Jam.
It's still the same thing. It's great. Like Hardrock is like timeless. It's like the same thing happens. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm excited, just like our chat is, to hear a little bit more about kind of your Hardrock experience and all of the Silverton greatness. You know, especially coming off of your maybe not so ideal, your abbreviated training block for Hardrock. So I'm excited to hear how it went.
Yeah, for sure. I think we have a lot to cover. We're going to talk a little bit about stuff happening with Aravaipa Running as well, as we like to do every week. And then we will definitely talk about maybe some reflections on this year's Hardrock, a little bit about my experience, but also what you saw from afar. I'd love to hear your take on just watching the race unfold. I was in the race and my phone was dead half the time or in airplane mode, so I didn't really know what was going on, or I didn't really hear much. I think at one point, you know, someone asked, "Hey, do we have a winner yet?" At like one of the aid stations. They're like, "Oh yeah, I think Kilian just won." So it was like it's kind of cool to be out of the loop and not really know, but it was also kind of insane because I think I was at the Sherman aid station, and they're like, "Yeah, he finished like a while ago." It's like I'm at mile 72 and he's done back in Silverton. And I'm thinking about all these climbs I have left to get over all these passes before, you know, I'm going to finish like 12 hours later or more, which is insane. So, and then also this is a live show. So hop in the chat. We love doing Q&A at the end of the show and also answering your questions throughout. We've got Bryce over here behind the control board. He's going to be chiming in with his thoughts on Hardrock as well. So, but yeah, to kick things off, I know I talked last week with Nick a little bit about Kendall and Silverton Alpine, but I guess we'll chat real quick about it. We were focusing on some of the fast guys that won the race. We had Logan Moore, local young kid from Hesperus, took the win, course record in the 50K, and then we had Willie Milam, who is a Roots running guy. Do you know much about him, or have you followed him much at all?
I've seen the name.
Okay.
I don't know that I've followed him a ton, but I've known and followed some of the other guys who have run for Roots Running, and so I think I've probably seen his name in passing. But super cool to see. At least in my opinion, I guess, some like faster road guys kind of making the transition, or at least jumping in one trail race that's a little bit longer than what they're used to.
Yeah, and this is kind of where it starts. I mean, look what happened to Adam Peterman.
Yep.
You know, he kind of runs a trail marathon, then he runs a 50K.
Catches the bug.
And 11 months later, he's Western States champ. So pretty crazy. So yeah, thank you to all of you that came out to the Silverton events. Definitely mark it on your calendar for next year. Will be the weekend before Hardrock again, and it's going to be a great time. So it's an incredible way if you're not, you know, ready for something like Hardrock or Ura 100 or something really tough like that, or even Tushers, to get out there in the mountains. You can do a double day. We had so many people do both days of the races, so it's really awesome. Otherwise, coming up for Aravaipa this weekend, we've got a local night race, run and rides, and then Tushers. And that is this year a sold out race. It's been sold out for, I think, a couple months now. And we're at our permit capacity for that one. But we've got the 100K going off, probably the largest fields we've ever had. We got the 70K, the marathon, the half marathon. And hopefully next year we're going to shuffle it up a little bit and move the half marathon to Sunday morning and probably add maybe a 10K, and that will give us some more room for the longer distances on Saturday. So any of you out there that are missing out this weekend on Tushers or next weekend on Tushers, stay tuned.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get more people to experience Utah's kind of hidden gem there.
Absolutely. What else is going on? We just had the Hardrock. Should we jump into that, or do you have anything else you wanted to add in, Aravaipa-wise?
No, I think that is pretty much it. I think the only other thing, obviously, if you want to, support what we're doing here, you can shop the merch over at the Mountain Outpost. We've got some awesome Run Steep gear, and we'll also have these new Mogian Monster trucker hats from Boco that will be live on the website tomorrow. So
nice.
Be on the lookout for those. We only have so many of these to be selling, so you'll want to make sure that you get your hands on these.
You don't need to wait till the race. They'll ship out right away.
Yeah, correct.
Nice.
You can select the store pickup option, and we'll be able to either hold it for you until race day if you want. But we're far enough out to where you can get it beforehand, so maybe you can even rock it on race day if you want.
And yeah, we just had a Mogian Monster training run. Was that this last weekend?
Yeah, and Bryce was.
Yeah, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah.
So we got 3 of them this year in total. This was the second of 3. Great way to get up there, explore the rim. If you're running the race, or if you just want to get out there and see the area, because you're hopefully going to do it someday.
Yeah. So the training one was awesome. We had a pretty good turnout for it. Started at a fish hatchery. Took the Highline Trail, which if you are running Mogian and you haven't ran the Highline Trail, it's something you probably want to scout just because it's more up and down than what it looks like on an elevation profile, I would say.
And it's technical and rocky.
And even kind of hard to find in certain spots. It was overgrown. And then we made our way to Myrtle. Took the Myrtle climb up to 300, which Margaret from Rim Runners had like a fully stocked aid station for us up there.
Shout out to Margaret.
She's the best. Shout out to Margaret.
She was right at the top of the road where Myrtle was.
As soon as we topped out,
that's amazing.
You could see her car, and she had popsicles, all sorts of food.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it was very fun. We made our way back 300 and then down Babe Hot Trail. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so Babe Hot down, back down into Fish Hatchery.
Exactly.
Nice. So yeah, that connector isn't part of the course, but you do run on other parts of Forest Road 300. So, man, now I'm getting all nostalgia for Mogian. I'm like, I got to get that redemption. I don't know that it's going to be this year for me, though.
Hardrock qualifier.
Yes, it is a Hardrock qualifier. So if you have Hardrock dreams, you can still sign up for Mogian Monster. It is one of the qualifiers that's not sold out. Most of them are sold out.
A lot of spots left in Mogian as well. I believe there's less than 40 spots left.
Wow, that's going to be a sellout for the first time.
38 spots left.
Oh my gosh!
So, if
35 spots left in the Mogian Monster.
You don't want to wait.
Yeah. Wow. So we have how many signed up? We have 159, so this will be the largest field we've ever had, which is cool. Yassine DeBoon coming in.
Yassine, let's go.
That's awesome. And I got to shout out to the women because I'm just going to be my plug here. So we would love to see more women run this race. It's only 21 entrants out of 159. It is a Hardrock qualifier. So and the way the Hardrock lottery works now, the more women that qualify and apply to Hardrock, the more women's spots there will be. So even if you maybe don't want to run Hardrock yet, if you still apply, it bumps up those spots.
Girl power.
It'd be more spots. So anyways, that's awesome. How many people came out to the run? Is there a good turnout?
It was a good turnout. I've got a little reel that I think we'll probably be putting out on social at some point, but I mean, over a dozen, maybe
nice.
20.
Yeah, probably 15, 20.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more.
Yep.
Sweet. That's great. Cool. So yeah. Jump into Hardrock stuff. What do you want to know?
I think we had a pretty good segue there as we transitioned from the Hardrock qualifier Mogian.
Good work.
Over to Hardrock. So, how was how are you feeling going into the race, aside from obviously maybe not feeling super well trained? Like how are you feeling coming in, both physically and mentally, the night before, that Thursday night when kind of what you're about to endure over the next 24, 48 hours?
I mean, overall, I was feeling pretty good. I got a few good nights of sleep leading into it. Was a little sleep deprived from the weekend before, but, body felt great. I was not injured. My abbreviated, I don't know. I was looking back at my training, like I went to Ring the Springs in early June and like course marked and did some course sweeping, and that kind of started my little build up. So I did those few days, then I went to Broken Arrow right after that. So I think I had like 1 or 2 days off in between those. Then I caught COVID, so I had 6 days off, but then I ran almost every day until, my coach forced me to take a day off or something, like right before race week. So, I didn't like roll my ankle or have any sort of setback. It was all pretty solid. I think all my workouts, despite the COVID, for like the month before the race. So that was pretty good, I think. I don't know.
So mentally, physically, you felt pretty good. Where was your head at, as you're trying to go to sleep the night before Hardrock?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of the game plan with my coach was, on the fast side, I had 31-hour splits written down, and on the slow side, I had 35-hour splits. And these were based upon, I think, some of what maybe Nick ran before, or maybe some of my old times, or just times in general. And so, I mean, I was really hoping to just stick with Nick as long as possible. He also was kind of targeting that 31-hour range. He had, after I think the halfway point, he had like a diverging, of course, him and his negative split. So it's like either he's going to negative, he's going to even, or he's going to just slightly positive, depending on how he was feeling. So, but they were all the same the first half. It was all like right on my split. So I was thinking that we were going to be for sure together through Uray, probably Animus Forks, and then maybe even Handies. We would be together. And we started out really slow together. I actually couldn't locate him at the start line, but as soon as we started running, it was like me and him walking and everyone else is running. So it was easy to spot him. But we ran so slow and conservative. We were just like walking, chatting, hanging out, like probably middle back of the pack. I think Dakota and Kilian and those guys put an hour on us by the first aid station at mile 11. Like they did like 2:16 and we were 3:11. This is like insane. So, and it was going great. We were having fun. There's so many friends and people that we knew that had hiked up near the Island Lake area. So it was just like every time you turn a corner, there's people cheering. There's like the Topher Gaylord, and then there's like this, crew from Ophir, and then there's Billy Simpson, and like the top of Grant Swamp Pass just had like Zach Miller and tons of photographers and videographers. Tony Hill was out there, and Max Romy and Billy Yang, all this kind of stuff. So, and then going up the Oscars climb, which is mile 20 or 18, something like that. That's when I noticed I was working harder than Nick was. My heart rate was probably 10 or 15 beats a minute higher. Mm-hmm. And although I was keeping pace, it was really starting to work me. And so once we hit the top of the Oscars climb, it's like Wasatch Saddle, I think. You basically just descend down into Telluride. Nick, he just was running a little bit more aggressively on the downhills, so he took off, and I kind of just went at what I thought was a more reasonable pace, and that's where we separated. So I didn't see him again the rest of the race, which sucks. But I came into Telluride and got refueled, made a really quick stop, and then we had kind of our first storm hit right before and right after Telluride. It was like hailing and raining and pretty crazy. I thought I was like falling way off my splits. I started like taking little breaks to catch my breath going up towards Virginius. But I ended up hitting my splits perfectly, like Governors and Ure. Engineer was like directly on. And then even Animus Forks, I was like 1 or 2 minutes off of what my coach gave me as that 31 hours, so the fast pace. So that's kind of the start to the race. I don't know if you want me to just keep going through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I could take a break, take a breath maybe.
Yeah, I mean, so when Nick started to kind of pull away, mentally, did you feel like kind of like, oh, dang it? Or did you feel good that like, oh, maybe he's feeling good? Or was that like disheartening at all, seeing as you wanted to probably run with him at least through the halfway point?
It wasn't like super disheartening. It was more like, dang it. Like I wanted to keep hanging out and like, Nick, why are you going so fast? Like, is that going to come back to haunt you?
Yeah.
I didn't understand why he needed to be going, like why he needed to push it that early. But he's his own person. He can do whatever he wants.
Finished pretty well.
He finished well. You could tell he was really wanting to go after his like negative split, do what he always does, but he didn't quite have the fitness to do that.
Yeah.
So I think he said he was like pushing really well up to maybe mile 80, and then he couldn't keep pushing. He just kind of like stayed a bit static or fell back a little bit. He still did great.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I would have run that 31-hour pace, I would have just been not too far behind him, and we probably could have run together more. So I'm a little disappointed for sure. I wanted more miles with him, but what can you do? It was fun though, like going down into Ure on Camp Bird Road. You're on this long downhill road for a really long time. And I ended up linking up with Maggie first and then Darcy. And I didn't realize at the time they were running second and third woman. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you mean only Courtney's ahead of me? Like, this is crazy. I didn't think I was doing that well. But turns out it was all right.
Yeah, turns out you were doing okay, huh?
So, yeah, can't complain.
I do have a few messages from the
Oh, yeah, let's jump into the chat a little bit.
Let's see here. Is there an official record for fastest sibling duo in a 100-miler? I don't know, but I think there should be.
So Aid Station Fireball, there's an account on Twitter and on Instagram. He or she posts a lot of memes on Instagram and just kind of does commentary on Twitter, like different things. Did a whole deep dive on these Hardrock statistics, and I think we're the fastest Hardrock sibling pair at least at that race. I don't know about all hundreds or however you want to break that down. Probably not, cool. But I mean, we're probably one of the only siblings that do it anyways, but
yeah.
But there's some other families, like there's quite a few like husband and wives that all run Hardrock, or there's even been some father and sons that have run Hardrock even in the same year, which is kind of cool. Like Gary and Keith Nippling, I think, ran it one year, the same year.
Very cool. I like the FKT's been doing like the mixed gender stuff for like a mixed gender category now too for some of this stuff. So yeah, that's cool.
It's like working together, team effort. Nice.
What's the sketchiest climb either direction on the Hardrock course? I did Grant Swamp Pass counterclockwise in 2020. Had no idea where to go for a bit since it's so straight up and all scree.
Yep. The sketchiest sketchiest would be probably Virginius Pass would be the sketchiest. And there's that one has 3 pitches to get to the top in the counterclockwise direction. It's not as bad from this year's clockwise direction. And then going up Grant Swamp Pass in the counterclockwise also quite sketchy. It's sketchy coming down too. It's just a loose scree pile. Virginius, that climb, this year it was weird because we had this crazy storm climbing out of Telluride, and then Virginius was bone dry. It was like loose gravel and dusty, and they hadn't gotten anything, which I wish they had because it would kind of like make it more tacky and easier to kind of go down. But yeah, sketchiest.
Question from me.
Yeah.
Do you any injuries, falls, ankle rolls, anything of that nature?
Nothing, no, not like a fall or anything related to that, but I did have, I don't know if it's exactly called, like I would call it an injury, but I think my IT band started flaring up. It happened for a brief minute descending off handies. It's really steep steps to begin, and then it was fine for the next like 25 miles. And then the last 13 or 14, I started pushing the pace on the uphills, dropped my pacer, like he had to pull out. And I was trying to catch Stephanie Case, who was second place woman at the time. And I blew out my IT band somehow, and it was extremely painful. The last 2 downhills were really ugly, and I could feel it tugging the entire last climb. Like every single step was just painful.
What mile did that start at?
It was right around Maggie Gulch. So probably with the climb out of Maggie, I started to feel it pulling a little on the uphill. And once I started running down off of that Buffalo Boy Ridge, so probably 13 or 14 miles to go, is when I started feeling it. It just kind of got progressively worse. And I hit the top of that last climb, and I'm like, I don't know how I can run this at all. Like, I'm going to have to just limp this in. And I ended up, I was like I was trying to do like run in like a weird way so that it wouldn't put as much pressure. So I was like running duck footed or like pigeon toed to kind of change the angle. And it actually kind of worked. Like for brief periods, I could run little stretches, and then I would just walk for a little bit, and then I would run weird again. And I don't know.
I'm just picturing you like waddling like a penguin or something with your toes
Oh,
pointed all the way out.
Yeah, Gary could tell you all about it because he paced me in the last bit, and I was like grunting, and I actually still made pretty good time. And I just didn't care. I was like, I'll risk whatever this happens because I don't want to walk this in for 4 hours.
Well, now you're a true hard rocker
That's true.
because of it.
Yeah.
Curious to hear about your biggest low point and high point during Hard Rock. Any unexpected challenges?
Biggest low point. I had kind of a mild low point early on from maybe doing that climb with Nick up Oscars. From there through probably Virginius was pretty low, at least the climbs. And then right around the start of the second morning was a pretty big low point for me. It was just so tired. I wanted to sleep so badly. My pacer would not let me sleep. He actually gifted me 2 5-minute naps, which was pretty cool. He wasn't supposed to do that, according to my coach. But he gave me 5 minutes in a chair at Sherman, and then 5-minute like trailside rock nap. But yeah, I was a zombie out there. Being sleep deprived is hard in these races sometimes.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's brutal.
Being sleep deprived at elevation too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I had just downed like an entire cold brew can, and I was still the same amount of tired. It's like, it didn't matter how much
You're at the point of no return.
Yeah. It's like I put in all this caffeine in my body. It's doing absolutely nothing, and I can't nap. I got to keep moving. So I just it's like nothing to do but treat your body like a machine, and you're just like, give it instructions. Like I was just having my brain tell my feet to keep taking a step. It's like, as long as it could do that, I could keep moving forward, and it did it. So
do you think you would have taken longer aid station naps if you didn't have pacers, as was your original maybe kind of plan?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I don't know. I don't know what would have happened.
You know, shout out to Papa Curry for ringing up the pacers.
Never know.
You know, kept you from a
Sure.
4-hour nap,
That is
maybe.
good. It is good. Yeah.
I have some questions in here about Nick's shoes.
That was
Could they not figure out what they were?
So Debo, shout out to Dylan Bowman and Ryan Thrower, as we've got their video on kind of in the background here. He did some like live like watch party type stuff during Hard Rock, similar to maybe what you had done for Barkley.
Oh, okay.
and he had seen a photo of Nick in his shoes, and that was the talk of the live chat during that.
Could people not figure out what it was?
No, they wanted to know what road shoe it was, because at first they couldn't tell. Then some thought it was an Adidas trail shoe, which it was definitely not. It was definitely an Adidas road shoe.
Yeah. Well, he modified the heel as well. He cut out the heel counter and then like sewed fabric back in, so that might have thrown people off. They couldn't use that to identify the shoe probably. Yeah, because of his Achilles thing, he chopped up all his shoes.
Classic.
Yeah, and then they would like fall off apparently sometimes. Like if it got stuck in mud, it would just like it was nothing holding it in really. So I don't know.
Is there, in your opinion, like a key to ramping up for a bigger effort like Hardrock? Is there besides just like vert, I guess?
I mean, I don't know that there's anything that's like markedly different when taking on any mountain 100. I think, if you're working with a coach or designing a program, I think having a well-rounded program is important with, speed work and hill work and volume and rest and probably strength training and all these different factors and things. With Hardrock specifically, I think the acclimation is quite important. I think practicing on steeper grades to get, your body used to that, like stressing your Achilles tendons and, I don't know, your quads and things like that. And Hardrock has some long road downhills too. So if you're planning on running those, like go and find a road with several thousand feet of descent over several miles and go pound it out. Things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no expert, obviously, but I think one of the big takeaways is like consistency with your training as well, right? Like no matter what race you're doing, really, like, yeah, you need a well-rounded plan, but you also need to
because I don't do well at that.
You need to, be consistent, day over day, week over week, year over year for kind of long-term growth in the sport.
Absolutely. Anything else from the chat right now?
Yeah, let me see. I think my audio might have been a little low. Got it boosted up here. What shoes did you wear for the run, Jamil?
I actually wore 3 different shoes. I started with the Ultra Glide, and the reason I changed out of them was because my socks were disintegrating. I think I had a pair of old Stance socks that I probably raced a lot of races in. It's like, oh yeah, I always throw this pair on when I'm racing. And apparently they were quite well used, so I took my shoes off to dump rocks out after descending down Grant Swamp Pass. And I'm like, oh, I can just see my skin poking through like these socks in multiple areas. So when I saw my crew in Ouray, I switched them out. And I just decided to throw some new shoes on. So I threw on the S-Lab Ultra 2s or 3s or something.
The purple ones?
Yeah. Threw those on in Ouray, and I ran in those all the way to Cunningham. And then I think I wanted another sock change, and I just figured I would throw a new pair of shoes on too, and I switched into the Pulsar Trail Pros for the final 9 miles.
All right. So a little bit of a quiver.
It was a quiver, yes. A little bit of everything. Now, in a perfect world, I would have worn a better pair of socks, and I wouldn't have touched my feet, and I would have just kept going the whole way. That's what, Nick did that. I did that most races. So.
Well, I'm impressed that you were in a pair of Stance and not a pair of, like, Target $2 Bullseye Playground socks or
I
something.
was later on, so, yeah.
When will Nick Curry get a sponsorship contract with a major shoe brand?
When they wake up? No, I'm just kidding. That's a great question. I'm not sure.
I've seen Nick correct me if I'm wrong, running in Skechers.
I almost feel like he doesn't really want that because he wouldn't want to be limited to one shoe brand. Like, I think he really enjoys trying all kinds of different shoes, but I don't know, maybe there is a brand that would be his favorite. I don't know if it's Adidas or what.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think just my little 2 cents on that.
Yes.
I think that brands are missing the boat here. Nick Curry holds the American 24-hour record on the track, the very product that most brands sell the majority of, which is their road running shoes. And so for them to not entertain that and to say that sector of the sport isn't marketable, in my mind, and again, just speaking for myself, is quite lazy, to be perfectly honest. So brands should embrace the challenge of storytelling around that aspect of the sport. So that's all I got.
Nice.
Did you see any wildlife?
Did I? Trying to think. I don't know if I did. That's kind of weird, huh?
It is.
I mean, I heard some birds chirping, like early morning. I don't know that I saw much in terms of wildlife out there. Yeah.
It's going too fast.
Yeah.
Did you use poles?
I did have poles the entire way with me. Yes.
Was this Hardrock different compared to other times you have finished?
Oh yeah. I mean, every single Hardrock's different. I mean, this one was most different because it was a new direction for me. You know, the weather's always a little bit different. Everything's always a little bit different. We had a few storms here. There's certain years where we don't have much of anything. There's other years where it's a little more prolonged. This year we had I think I was rained on 4 times, but it was all pretty short, 10 minutes or less each time.
Did you get cold?
I was absolutely freezing climbing up from Telluride. So cold, where I was thinking, if this goes on for an hour, I'm going to be in trouble.
Oh.
But then it ended, and then the sun came out, and then it was great. But I don't know. It was actually a pretty mild night. Once the storms cleared out, it was clear and it was not too cold. I was in a short sleeve shirt the whole night, even into the next morning when it was the coldest. And finally put a jacket on, I think an hour after it started getting light out.
Okay.
So I was feeling pretty good.
These questions just keep coming in.
Nice.
Makes my job pretty easy.
Yeah.
Did you hike all the uphills? What was your strategy with pacing?
Yeah, I hiked all the uphills, and I actually hiked most of the flats too. So I'm running down Camp Bird Road, which, bottom or top all the way down to the bottom is 13,000 feet down to 7,800s, over 5,000 foot drop. And it kind of levels out a couple times, but anytime it leveled out, it's still a really easy road. You can run it. It's simple to run. I just walked it out.
Now that you've gone both ways, do you have a preferred?
Waiting for that question. People were asking me while I was running the race what I thought, and I'm like, I don't know. I'll get back to you later. Or right after I finished, I said, I don't know. I think I prefer the other direction, the one that I've gone more often. And why is that? I think it's not, my answer isn't just, oh, it's easier this to do it such and such way because the trail and the climbs are this. That's a lot of the arguments I hear where they're like, oh, I love running down Camp Bird Road instead of having to walk up it. They like these big, long downhill road sections or something. And then the steep ones are really easy to get over. I don't know. But for me, I think just the total experience of when you enter certain towns at certain times plays more into it for me personally. I like the flow of getting the Maggie Pole Creek section done early when you're fresh. And it's I don't know, early in the race. You kind of go over handies earlier in the race, and you're kind of racing to get to Ouray before dark. And then I know the leaders now are getting to Telluride before dark, but at least for me, it was getting into Ouray before dark is awesome. Seeing your crew, and then bombing down into Telluride in the nighttime is just, I have such good memories of doing that. And the way that the climbs stack up at the end to me is so much more epic. And I prefer that. Having to climb Virginius on the steeper 3-pitch side to me is more epic, hard rocky than this other way. Same with going up Grant Swamp Pass, things like that. So just a personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more epic. I think I just like the way that you kind of come into the towns a little bit differently that way.
I was surprised. I was going to say you didn't really I was thinking you would say you didn't have an opinion on it. I'm surprised. I mean, that makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this way it's like late in the race, you're just like way out in no man's land in Pole Creek, and you know, you don't see your crew a lot for a really long time. I don't know.
Gotcha. How many mashed potato burritos did you crush?
I think I might have eaten 4. I'll just go with that.
I think we answered that. What do you do if there's lightning high up on passes? Did you experience that?
What did I do, or what was I supposed to do?
Yes.
I mean, what you're supposed to do is like, yeah, if you hear it, you can count the seconds between the flash and the boom, of course, to see how far away it is. And there were times when it was like flash bang, but that was like pretty low down near Ure. I mean, you really should try not to be above tree line when that's happening. So if you can find cover below tree line, take shelter somewhere, get down in like the lightning position. So just stay as low as you can. You don't want to be the tallest thing around. So you certainly would not want to be going over a pass or a peak if, you know, you're seeing lightning and hearing thunder at the same exact moment. Like, you should go down in elevation, even if you're going backwards. I didn't have that exact experience. There was definitely thunderstorms in the area, but I was usually part the way up a climb in the trees or really low down and near one of the towns when that was happening. So, but I always feel the pressure, and what I usually do in the other direction when I'm climbing handies, you're up above tree line for a really long time. Tree line ends around 11,800 feet, and you're going all the way up to 14,000 there. So most people in the race, they just press on, even if it's popping off everywhere. We just all kind of keep going because we don't want to lose time. We want to get on to the next thing, and the storms usually move through. So I don't know. That's like my two-part answer, where it's like, what do you really do and what should you do?
Yeah. Do you want to do a pause on these? Because they just keep coming in.
We can do a pause. I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else we want to cover? We can cover the actual race itself. Like, what were your reactions watching it? Did you tune in much? Were you watching Debo chit-chat?
I watched Debo when he came on most of the time, which was him giving his takes. He had Corinne Malcolm and Mike Wardian on during some of it as well to kind of give their opinions. I enjoyed tuning in because Debo is very good at, like, he gets very excited, right? Like, he's very passionate about the sport. And so just watching how, like, beyond stoked he was for, like, Kilian and Francois to be kind of duking it out was pretty cool. But outside of that, I, like everyone else, just followed the classic I Run Far tweets and, followed along that way. And it was super fun to have, like, such an elite field. It was awesome to see Dakota kind of, like, back in a lot of ways. You know, like, he ran, you know, an incredible race and put it out there and ran out front for a good portion of the race. And so that was cool to see. And then, I mean, the battle for goatness at the front on the men's side was pretty cool.
Yeah, super excited for Dakota. I mean, just kind of putting himself in a position where he was, you know, trained up well, acclimated well. He obviously knows this course super well. He was able to run with those guys kind of stride for stride and even put some time on him going up Engineer, which was crazy to see or, like, hear about. I think he put 10 minutes on him into one of the aid stations at one point and then ended up getting caught. He dropped Eric Sensman as a pacer at one point. And then did you hear who paced him from Cunningham to the finish?
No, who?
Kyle Skaggs.
Oh, I did see that. The legend himself.
So, yeah.
Is that his first time back out there in a while, or does he come back?
I haven't seen him.
A year?
I haven't seen him since I went out to visit him on the farm, like, a few years after Hardrock. Like, I think I brought him a bunch of stuff from Silverton that he left there. When he left that summer, he hit a deer with his car. His car was totaled, and he was heading up to Ashland, Oregon. And so he just left like all of his personal belongings, including the Hardrock trophy and everything, like in the place he was renting, the house he was renting. And they ended up just putting all of it in these bins in a shed. And he like never made it back to Silverton to get his stuff. So I took his stuff down to him and his farm in New Mexico. But I haven't seen him at the race. And like he's really been absent from the sport entirely since something like 2008. So, or 09 or something like that. So yeah, I was texting Dakota last night and he said, Kyle's strong, which of course he's strong, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it'd be cool to see him turn up again at a race. It'd be awesome.
Come get a qualifier out at Mogian Monster. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he's at with his life and what he's doing, but the fact that he would come out and pace at Hardrock gives me a glimmer of hope.
Yeah. No, that was cool. When I saw that Sensman was pacing Dakota, I was just like, that's awesome. But like, just seemed very, not necessarily odd, but like kind of odd.
Really?
Yeah. It was just like, oh, it's Sensman. Of course, Sensman knows everyone. Of course, Dakota knows everyone. Like that wouldn't have been
team sports here.
Yeah.
Come on, everyone goes across brands.
No, for sure. I wasn't expecting that, and yeah, it was really cool. I think one of my favorite moments though was Dakota was up maybe like 10 minutes on Kilian, and then Francois was right behind, and I forget what aid station it was, but Kilian came in and got a fist bump from Dakota's mom.
Oh, really?
At one of the aid stations, and
Dakota's mom's awesome.
It was awesome. It was so awesome. But yeah, that race up front was absolutely incredible.
Seeing some of those clips kind of reminded me of like a couple times at UTMB when there was these big packs of like Solomon athletes or just guys up front, kind of like late into the race even, just like running together in a little pack. It doesn't happen every year. Sometimes there's like a guy off the front, but it's super cool to see, you know, a pack of guys, you know, as late as like Animus Forks or Handy's stride for stride.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. And then Dakota obviously broke away, had I think at one point an 11-minute lead or something like that, and got reeled back in. But Kilian and Francois, I think, were basically even at like mile 91 still.
91, and then Kilian just put the hurt on him.
Dude.
He ran a 1:45 split from Cunningham to the finish. It's funny because Nick, back in 08, ran one of the fastest all-time splits at the time. I mean, that was a while ago now, but it was like a 2:15. He's like, it was like this crazy time. And Kilian just did a 1:45. That is nuts.
Well, over the last like 9 miles or so, he gapped Francois by like 15 minutes, right? Like that was what he ended up at, and got the overall course record. So he's the owner of that once again.
He came here. He reclaimed his title. He got his 4th win, I think.
Yeah. Well, and what was interesting, he showed up like on like Wednesday or something.
I think he didn't really get any altitude acclimation.
No, he just like Monday. I think it was honestly like Tuesday or something like that. But like, just there aren't many people who can do there aren't many people who can run as fast as he just did for Hardrock, right? Like no one. It's the course record. But to do it just like, showing up race week, I'm assuming that he was, sleeping in like some sort of altitude tent or device. And I know that in the past he's exercised in something as well, like when he's been on the bike and stuff like that.
He's done Everest a couple times. So he's
exactly
just blitzing up and down Everest. So it's like, number one, the fact that he has put his body through that in his lifetime, he's probably up there for a couple months at a time acclimating. Like I don't know, I believe there's some residual to that. That just the fact that you did that, Like even like because when I first started going to Silverton and up at altitude, I struggled so bad. I would get the altitude headaches, couldn't breathe, could barely step. And now I go up there. I did my 18-mile run, I think the same day I arrived into Silverton. And like I felt pretty good. I was like kind of jogging along at 12,000 feet, no real issues. And then even at the end, I was powering up climbs to 13,000 feet and I felt great. Like I wasn't struggling too bad. So I'm sure he was using his devices and like maybe he's got his altitude treadmill or his mask. Like why, he knows what to do.
Yeah.
And he's not going to leave that stone unturned. He probably didn't have the time to come and spend
with
2
the
weeks.
family now and stuff
Francois
like
has
that
one too.
too.
But
Yeah.
He does it a little differently.
Yeah.
He comes, he spends his time, fully preparing. But
Yeah.
he knows he needs to do that. And Kilian
Yep.
maybe just has a different program.
Yeah.
So, are we moving along here?
Moving
or do we have
along.
any more? Courtney,
I mean,
shout out her.
Yeah, I
course
mean, that
record.
was that performance was incredible.
And despite, I think, puking on every downhill or every uphill, like half the race, it's still incredible. If I'm nauseous and puking, I like can't keep pushing. I don't know.
Wait, Courtney was nauseous and thrown up?
Yeah,
Interesting.
like a bunch. She could just take in broth like later on.
Ah.
It's weird. So
I mean, she was so, like, on the day, she was just so much better. Like, it reminded me almost like her UTMB performance, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, man, she is just, like, today, on this day, she is just that much better than what everyone else had. And it was really cool to watch. And, like, the ladies' field was, like, really, I felt like really deep. And she was just, like, kind of a tier ahead.
You had some incredible
as she is.
athletes out there, like women that are so accomplished. Stephanie Case,
Megan Hicks,
Maggie, Darcy, Angela Chartel, and they all did great. But yeah, Courtney is just kind of in a different league, especially when it comes to this race. So pretty awesome to see. I'm really happy for her, getting the finish and
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it was a shame to see her not be able to get it done last year. And for her to show up and...
But we said on the show 2 weeks ago, records were coming.
Yep.
I think I picked Francois over Kilian. I'm sorry.
I did as well. I apologize to Kilian.
We bow down to you. But we did get the 2 course records right, so that feels pretty good.
Well, and that was maybe in doubt in the days leading up for maybe a little bit for people who maybe aren't in the know when it looked like it could be a pretty bad weather year.
Yeah, it seemed like we dodged some bullets, like the storms weren't as bad as they thought, or they hit in different spots where it didn't really... There were some really dry parts of the course, and then Pole Creek was like nasty. It wasn't raining on me there, but the trail got a lot of rain. It was like muddy and mucky, and you're kind of running on the side, and it was gross. That's about all I got. My initial reflections. We can go to some more questions in the chat, and then I know we have our rapid fire round. So
let's knock a few of these out.
Love it.
And then we'll close it out.
What's a vegetarian post 100-mile refueling meal look like?
So I was really looking forward to the Silverton Gym Cafe, I'm calling it. John Feg Verisi, Barkley finisher.
Yep.
I think he's been doing it for like 4 or 5 years now, but he's got him and his whole team, and they cook up tons of different meals. So they had like a little vegan vegetable mushroom potato dish. They had some Beyond Burgers. So that's like, I went straight in there and went for that until I was nice and full. And then I went for an avalanche Thai pie that night with some non-dairy cheese. So
nice.
Avalanche Brewing and Pizza, they're a staple in Silverton. Go check them out.
Have you run since the race?
No. I did do a 30-minute hike.
That you were very proud of, might I add.
I just walked from the office to the Salt River pit or whatever. It was funny. There's like water down there. There's like these riparian areas. There's like palm trees growing, and there's like, it's super green. And there's all these like slugs, in these shells that are down there.
Really?
They're like all over right now. I don't know what's going on. It's very fascinating. It'll be in a Run Steep Get High video, probably come out in 2 days. So I was like picking up these slugs. I'm like, what is happening?
Speaking of picking things up, did you help with? Did you find a little critter in an engine
Oh yeah.
while in Silverton? How was that experience for you?
That was hilarious. That was interesting. Marmots are these creatures that live way high up in the Alpine. They're like giant rodents, basically, kind of like beavers.
Mountain beavers.
Beavers, yeah. They run around, they chirp this really high-pitched noise, and they kind of live in these little holes. And they love to chew up electrical wiring of vehicles. So you have to be really careful. You're supposed to put mothballs, apparently repel them, or like coyote pee or something. I don't know. There's all these weird things that you can do. Like scattering these mothballs around your vehicle, it keeps them away. But yeah, I don't think I've ever had my vehicle chewed up, but I know Dom Grossman had an issue, and there's like a ton of other people. Dylan Harris somehow got a marmot in his underneath his truck, so it was above the spare tire. It starts chirping. We look and see. We drop the spare tire. It runs up above the gas tank, and it just like tucks itself way back in there. And so we're like, I don't know, we got a stick and we're trying to like see if we can poke him out of there. We got a hose and we're trying to spray him out, and he just did not move, did not budge. He just like pulls himself even deeper in. And finally I got one of my gloves and like was like pushing on him, and he's just like pushing back. And finally I pushed him enough. He drops out and then runs up and into the engine compartment. And so then we popped the hood and I finally got him out of there.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
We like you can't just leave him in there because he's going to chew up Dylan's new truck. So I think it took us 45 minutes to an hour to get him out.
Classic.
It's pretty funny.
Trying to find some background. Here we go. What runner did you share the most miles with?
Ooh, that's a good question. Runner, not pacer. I mean, the first 20 miles with Nick, and then that was probably the most, I would say, consistent. Middle part of the race, after that, I was near Stephen Moore quite a bit. Then I was with Maggie and Darcy a little bit in and out of Uray. Then I was kind of in no man's land for quite a while. Going all the way up to Engineer, nobody. Down in Animas, nobody. Handies, nobody. Down into Sherman, nobody. And then I was just kind of chasing Stephanie Case. And then we were back and forth because I would pass her on an uphill and then she would pass me on a downhill. I was looking out for Coop. I almost caught him at the top of the last climb. And he I remember looking back. He looks back, he sees me, and then he just like goes. And of course I couldn't at that point with my leg do anything about it. Speaking of Max Romy, there he is. The avalanche year is crazy.
How was the Joe Grant's Picasso piece? I don't know exactly what that means.
So good. It was great. Joe Grant has taken over Virginia's Pass Kroger's Canteen aid station, and it's got to be it's the favorite aid station on the course, I think. It was funny. They said in this direction they have a little bit less supplies because it's shorter. It's at mile 30 or 28. Is that right? Yeah, around mile 30. In the other direction, it's mile 70. So they're open a lot longer the other way. But they have pierogies there every year. They said they had Jolly Ranchers this year, and then Mexican sports drink, which was mezcal. So he has like this little like bowl, and he pours you like a little splash of mezcal, and you throw it back. But this year they had this painting on a canvas, and it was of maybe the course profile with like the mountains and like some little runners on it. And then they had paint and paint pens, and they let the runners like contribute to the painting, so you could draw something in or like write your initials. And so I wrote Jam Jam, and I think Nick, I could see his initials in there. It's kind of cool. I didn't see the final result.
Might have to do a little searching for that.
Yeah, there might be a picture out there. So mine looked like crap when I tried to write. I was like, I used the actual brush and it was pretty dry. It was all fanned out and it just looked like a scribble.
Classic.
It was kind of cool though. Like I've never experienced a crowdsourced painting at an aid station during a 100-miler before.
Maybe they should auction it for charity.
They might be doing that actually. It's pretty cool.
That'd be pretty
It's a
cool.
cool idea. We should do that at some race. That'd be awesome. Got to pick an iconic one though.
Maybe Kilian. I don't think Kilian's pacer got dropped, which is good.
I think she did, but then she maybe caught back up.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I heard a rumor about her getting dropped, but
I think I would have been dropped. Yeah, we covered. Any comments on Courtney crushing the race? I think we covered that.
yeah,
Shout out to Courtney.
we covered that.
Yeah. Marmots for next season's Run Steep t-shirts.
Well, we had issues with them at Kendall, not this past Kendall, but the year before.
They love
as well,
hanging out.
where
at the
the
notch.
up on Kendall, they had chewed up some of our wires.
Oh, that's right, they did
during the
you're
live
right.
stream.
So yeah, I haven't had it on my vehicle, but I have had
Yeah.
a networking cable was chewed up by marmots for sure.
It's probably better than the vehicle.
Yeah. Speaking of Joe Grant at Kroger's, right
Mr.
there.
Picasso himself.
There was that snow was actually there was a little bit of snow below, but not on the initial descent. I wish there was because it's way more fun with snow there. So yeah, they're out in this rock is where the painting was, and they're got the stove with the pierogies. It's really great.
And that's a pretty small spot, right?
It's super small. They put up a bunch of tarps, and then they use a climbing pad, and they create a little padded bench for you to sit down on. So I took a little seat. I took my pierogi. I did my shot of mezcal. I did a little shot of Coke because I was feeling pretty tired. And I grabbed a Jolly Rancher to go. I don't think I ate it yet. It's probably sitting around somewhere.
Maybe save it for next week's episode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick.
We need a
two.
little candy. We need some
More out of
Mexican
here.
sports drink for this show, I think. You don't drink, but for me, maybe.
Well, I mean, if I could ever find Topo Chico with a twist of lime, I would indulge in
A
that.
beverage?
That is, it's from Mexico,
There you go.
you know?
Perfect.
So
I'm gonna choose one more question out of here, and then I think we jump into quick takes.
Perfect.
Let's do it. Yeah. I'll probably do. I've been thinking about just going live on like the Run Steep Get High channel maybe later this week, and just doing like a full-on Q&A. People can ask me any questions.
These
So
questions just keep rolling in.
we can dive deeper later.
Based on what you saw at Hardrock, who is your pick for UTMB?
Who's running UTMB? Kilian?
I guess maybe this is assuming Kilian and Francois, and I guess
Kilian.
obviously Jim.
At this point, I'm Team Kilian.
Yeah.
someone else.
Someone besides Kilian?
Someone besides, anyone
Someone-
who ran Hard Rock
Oh, okay.
would be
Yeah.
my pick.
Francois did it last year.
For sure.
Yeah.
But what was the year? What was it? Probably 2019. Who won in 2019? He broke away super early.
Oh,
Might not have been.
Powell.
Pau Capel.
Powell.
Like someone like that who's like
Jim
a real
Walmsley?
strong. Maybe. I mean, that'd be cool to see.
I would have loved to see Jim run this year. with
I
those
need
guys.
to see those three all at Hard Rock together.
Yeah. Well, now I want to
Because-
see Dakota again.
Well, and yeah. I mean, that was probably Dakota's best race since he beat Kilian in 2012 at Transvolcania, right? Like
It's a really good race.
that Transvolcania run was incredible, and I think that this Hard Rock run was up there.
Yeah.
Let's hop into some
Peanut
quick
pushing.
notes.
Let's go.
Peanut push. That kicked off while you were in the great state of Colorado.
I completely forgot about
You
it.
should have made the trip up.
But then someone tweeted at me and I saw it. Dude, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Oh.
Wait, did he finish already?
Oh, yeah.
What? I thought it took
Oh,
like weeks.
No.
He
broke
just
the record.
Let's go, dude. It's because he's probably like an engineer. Look at that contraption.
Look, and like the town gave him this like
A peanut holder.
yeah, a special like jewelry box.
It was
150 years of Manitou Springs, right? So he finished on Friday, July 15th. So as Hardrock was kicking off. So this is Bob Salem. And a little background, if you haven't tuned into the show before, this is our rapid fire round. We like to pick up some crazy stories. Do you want to just go into it? I'm stealing your part of the show. I'm sorry, Bryce.
That's good.
Tell them what this is all about.
So quick takes, weird, relevant, quirky things that happened this time in like the last 2 weeks since we didn't do a show last week. So I've got a few of them on here. This happened, this was posted on the 15th. Today's the 19th, so I'm assuming he finished on the 15th, so 4 days ago.
Yeah, it says.
So this is the first person did this back like 100 years ago, and basically with their nose pushed up a peanut up Pikes Peak, which is a 14,000 foot mountain in Colorado. This Colorado man, Bob Salem, reached Pikes Peak Friday morning. He broke the previous verified record doing it in 7 days. So he did a whole day faster than the previous record. He had some interesting snacks outside of peanuts, Pop-Tarts, bananas, and crackers.
That's like sacrilegious. He's like eating the peanuts as he's pushing the peanut.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that.
Well, there were multiple peanuts.
Yeah, they said, how many was it? 2 dozen
12,
peanuts,
right? Or 2 dozen?
2 dozen.
Yeah.
The thing I thought was interesting, he did it mostly at night because so many people wanted to do selfies with him throughout the day that he kept getting stopped and interrupted.
Wait, you don't do it in one push?
Well, he's like, camping
How do you
out.
mark your? Oh, so you stay with
Oh,
the
he has
peanut.
all his stuff, yeah.
So you stay with the peanut.
Yeah.
Peanut stays on trail.
Well, unless you lose it behind a rock, then you pull out a fresh peanut, but you don't
Yeah.
lose your space. You keep going.
Yeah.
I think he camped out as he has like hiking along the way. Oh no, he had his backpack, so he would hike his backpack and stuff up. He would put his stuff down. He would like hike back down. He'd push the peanut, so he didn't have to hold all of his gear because he has all his food with him and his water and all this stuff. So he's kind of doing it solo. He doesn't have a big support team, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing this like solo.
How far is it?
I mean, it's like 13 miles. It's the Pikes Peak ascent. It's
Okay.
like, well, it's probably like 11 or 12 miles.
Cool.
It's probably 12 miles. So like a little over a mile a day. Mile and a half a
Well,
day.
it's like just under 2 a day.
just under 2 a day.
And I had an old can of survival fruit from 1964, and there were little carbohydrate candies, and I was eating those.
That sounds not good.
You didn't understand that piece of it, but you see the man that did this, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks.
Dude, that
So
guy's...
the thing he's wearing, he made this custom like nose scooper. Is it really pushing it with your nose? If it's that, I guess it is.
No, I mean, you're pushing it with a shovel that's attached to your
Shovel that's
nose.
attached to your face.
Well, like, think if you had... Are there regulations on, like, the length of the lever that
The
you could
same
use?
guy
Could you,
did.
like... Could you just, like, curve it so you could stand facing, like, up?
You could
And push
You could
it.
probably smash the record. You could probably fling it like the Taramaras do with their bulle. They just flick it. Just do some long flicks. That's what I would do.
I'm just saying, I think there's some maybe engineering innovation that could
You could
put
do it
this
in, like,
record out of reach.
sub-24 if you do it with this long. So
Well,
you're
I mean,
just-
I'm thinking
so you don't
that...
have to bend down at all. You can just
Yeah.
be standing upright the whole time. And
I
it
think
just
1
goes
day is in
down.
reach.
Huh?
I think 1 day is within reach.
If you do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, are there regulations? Like... Because,
We
I
have
mean,
to
that...
ask- who do we ask? The Peanut Board
Maybe.
of America? The city of Manitou Springs?
So, yeah, it happened. He crushed it.
I'll put
Valiant
that on my
effort.
schedule for next year.
Sports evolve, right?
Yeah.
People create new
Well, I mean, we've
equipment.
got
Look at
super shoes.
cycling. Like, they started out, super shoes.
Need the super peanut flicker.
So this was in the men's steeplechase.
Oh my gosh, this was last night, and this was... I wish, like, we could call Skylar in right now just so that I could converse with him about how abysmally funny this is.
Is it going?
Yeah, that cameraman is on the track during a world final in the steeplechase. He was just
How
standing.
did that happen?
Look at this.
What is he filming?
Well, and
Is
then
he
one
trying
guy
to
turns around. Yeah, that guy right there turns around and like yells at him. He's filming the triple jump.
Oh,
So the triple jump runway is just off screen, like where that camera guy is.
That's insane. I wouldn't play that audio.
Yeah, imbecile.
You're gonna get called.
There you go.
Wow.
That was awesome.
What race were these guys doing? Is it like
The 3K steeple.
oh my god.
And it was just at the start, so they hadn't hit any barriers yet. So they're like coming up on 200 meters in.
Probably didn't like materially affect the race, but it's
No, but it's
still-
hilarious.
It's crazy. You don't see that very often.
Just hanging out. Oh.
So yeah. Next, also World Championships.
Oh
A
my
little
God.
controversial. I don't know if you've seen this already, Jamil.
No, I haven't.
This is the hurdles, 100-meter hurdles.
110. 110 meters.
110-meter hurdles.
Yep.
So they go, and it's a double gunshot for a false start. And so Devin Allen, who actually is from Brophy High School in Phoenix, is disqualified. He's right there. And it'll show it in a different, but
They have a rule that World Athletics has a rule that is based. It's based in fiction. It's not based in science. To where if you have a reaction time under 1/10 of a second, you're disqualified. They say that it means that you're guessing, or that's like an indication that you false started. When they commissioned a research study that showcased that your reaction time could actually be like 0.08 or 0.085. His reaction time was 0.099, so 1,000th of a second.
It looks like he started with the same.
Yeah.
You can't perceive
To the eye.
So was it like electronic that flashed?
Yeah. So there's sensors in the starting blocks.
So it felt.
Yep.
Felt
So
the
it
push.
will measure every person's reaction time versus the gun. It's
So he
crazy.
Was disqualified.
He was disqualified. He has the second or third fastest time in world history in the event that he ran just earlier this year.
Thanks, Seiko.
Seiko.
Well, hey,
That was my
I'll
old dog's
tell you
name.
this.
My old
Not
dog name is
Seiko's
Seiko.
fault. Not Seiko's fault. Sebco and World Athletics should, maybe
So what would
Get
be
their
the
stuff together.
solution?
The solution.
maybe don't base rules in like your imagination. Like you chose the number 0.100 for absolutely no reason. Like they commissioned a research study in 2009 that showed that 7 Finnish athletes, which not sure why you would do a research study with that few people, had like reaction times as low as 0.080. And so to use this as like a black and white thing is a failure. They basically just took a medal from him. The defending Olympic champion got injured during warm-ups on the track, so he was out. The Americans probably would have went 1 through 3 in this event, but World Athletics is just continuing to do everything they can to hinder the growth of the sport in the most sought-after market in the world, which is the United States. Like there were football players tweeting about this because they're like, "What happened?" Like,
I mean,
makes no
he did
sense.
not get an advantage there.
Well,
it shouldn't be a rule, one. And if it's going to be a rule, it should be like video assistant referee is in soccer, where it's like, "Hey, referee, you may want to take a second look at this."
or do you think they just do just like they do with speed racing or speed walking? That's just to the naked eye.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Or like, you're not crossing like a thing before.
Well, I think the technology would be there as like a guidance, where it's like, hey, this reaction time was awfully quick, so you may want to look at it to see if they flinched.
But
or
like,
if
let
they
the
jumped.
race happen.
But then like let the official look at it and determine like, okay, no, he didn't flinch. No, I visually don't see a false start, so nothing is wrong here.
And
It's an abysmal failure, and it's the reason that track and field, the most participated sport at the youth level, is continuing to fail in this country on the professional level.
So, there's an article that I found.
Let's run. The
Yeah.
cesspool of running news.
My go-to source.
They got a statistician, went
Yeah.
through, and they did median start times for basically all of the World Championship events through the years. And on here, you can see how much faster they are this year compared to every other year.
I will.
And so they're saying that there's an issue with the system.
Yeah, World Athletics released a statement last night, though, saying that everything was calibrated correctly. That being said, what else would they say? But this is kind of suspicious. I saw another number that was like, in the last 7 World Championships combined, there were a total of 5 starts that registered under .115.
Right here?
Oh, right here. Yeah. Under .115, and this year alone there were 25 that registered under .115. So it's like, is it calibrated correctly? Are people really starting that much faster? Is it the shoes, right? Super spikes weren't really a thing back in 2019. So is it maybe the way the shoe fits on the block itself that's causing some of this technology to maybe not work correctly? Noah Lyles, who is one of the top American 200 runners, described how these starting blocks are actually different than anything they've used at past World Championships in terms of the shape even. I don't know. I've watched a lot of track and field. That definitely not a false start.
And then this is kind of the last one I have. It's a little older actually, but basically this is in Hungary, and in order to protest, so basically there's a train that goes excessively slow, and apparently
I love it already.
it takes you an hour 49 minutes to go 78 kilometers, which is about 40 miles. And so basically they made this whole video and he races the train in a snail suit and beats it pretty handedly. It's a slow train, in fairness to them.
Definitely didn't go all 78 kilometers. That's for
No,
sure.
he did not. Which I don't know that that's possible.
Look at him go.
But I just think it's a fantastic way to protest.
You could certainly bike faster than it. So
And I would like to
put a
know
snail on a bike.
I would like to know what the distance is, where the cutoff is, where it's possible to beat this train.
Oh,
'Cause
so
I mean-
how many miles could you go?
Beating the train, yeah.
Well, less than 42 kilometers. For sure.
Yeah, let's see, a half
Probably
marathon.
30.
Probably do a half marathon at 59 minutes.
Well, yeah. Well, Eliud Kipchoge has run basically 2 hours in the marathon, right? Just under. When
Okay,
he's had,
so you could
all
probably
this
go-
stuff going on. And that's
So you could
42K.
probably go a marathon distance about maybe a
just shy.
50K
Maybe.
if you're lucky, somewhere around there. Is that right?
No.
No, we're not even
40K.
right.
About 40K probably.
No, because 1 hour 49 minutes for all 50K, so that'd be twice as fast.
Oh yeah.
So it wouldn't be very far, like a 10K or a 5K, or not even.
Yeah.
Anyways, someone do the math. Get back to us, or we'll get back to you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was going to pull up one last question here. Hey, Jamil.
Hey,
I associate you most to Hardrock 100 and, of course, Barkley marathons. Would you like to run Barkley with your brother one day? Thanks for all your efforts to embody the steep life.
I would. I think that would be super fun. I don't think he'll ever do it, though. So I might have to settle for Big's Backyard, which I would love to do. I would love to do a backyard style race competing with/against him. Be super fun.
How do you
Probably
think
would rather
Nick
do that.
at Hard Rock?
Or at Barkley.
Yeah, that's what I meant. We know how he did at Hard Rock.
I mean, probably he would have to train differently, but I think he could do okay at it. I don't know. He hasn't gone super long, so I think sleep deprivation would become a factor. He's done about 30 hours. But he's not done like 40 or 50 or 60 hours for an effort. And then I don't know about the navigation, if that's his style or not. So I don't know.
Then I almost forgot, but I wanted to give one last update on the PCT FKT
Young Chattahoochee.
from Witt.
El Matador himself.
He has pulled the plug on it. It didn't sound like he was necessarily due to injury or anything. It sounded like he just wanted to enjoy his trip.
Mental burnout
Yes.
from probably the restart.
False start, right.
Man, what if? That's what I wonder.
Shout out to Witt.
Shout out to Witt. All right. Anything else? I think we're ready to.
I don't think so, but we'll be back again next week. We'll probably be talking about maybe the Speed Goat races. I think that's this weekend. We'll recap that. We'll kind of go more into Tushers and
Got High Lonesome as well.
High Lonesome to look at. Is that this or this weekend?
I want to say it's this weekend.
So we'll recap some of the other big mountain races. I think Uri 100s this weekend.
That's
so
right.
We'll do some recap on just kind of like, it's kind of mountain racing season right now in the Rockies and the high country. You know, it's all opened up right now, so it's time to get up high and do some racing and over some beautiful country, you know, beautiful terrain here in the States. That window is short. We only have a few months where it's possible to do that. So we'll see you next week, guys.